Hey guys, Will here, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to our video series on building a racing simulator. So a couple of days ago now I posted up a video installing the V3 brake performance kit. So today we're going to be adding the V3 damper kit on top of that to see whether it improves the braking feel even more. So reading around on the forums and stuff, the general consensus seems to be that the $100 or so that you pay for the damper kit aren't worth it on top of the brake performance kit. The brake performance kit is definitely, in my own experience as well, the better of the two products in terms of improving the overall realism. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. You definitely do want to buy the performance kit. You wouldn't want to buy the damper kit on its own. But in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig into it a little bit deeper. I'm going to install this anyway on top of the performance kit. I'm basically taking one for the team here. I've spent the money. You know, I'm not sponsored by Fanatec or anything like that. I just wanted to spend the money, buy the part, figure it out, and suss it out for myself so that I would know and I'd be able to pass that information on to you guys. So let's get stuck into the installation. Unlike the pedal performance kit, this one genuinely is relatively easy to install. I didn't come across any horrible tips or traps or anything like that. That said though, you do again need to be very careful with the vibration motor. There is a little bracket that's included that you'll see a little bit later on in the video that we have to take off, adjust, put a new bracket on and reinstall the motor. And the wires on that motor are incredibly tiny. So you do need to be very careful when you install this product. But it's not difficult. Just use some patience, be careful, and you won't have any problems. So let's get into it. All right, so inside the kit, once again, we have the quick start guide with the installation instructions, which are relatively easy to follow. We've got our little replacement bracket here for the vibration motor, which we'll get onto in just a moment and explain how that all works. Empty bag, which I assume is the bag that this was meant to be in. So somebody's obviously opened this before me at some point, but that's okay. So that's the bracket which will actually mount the piston. Then we've got a little bag of screws and an Allen key there as well. And then the actual piston itself. So we'll quickly pull that out. Set the box aside. So this is the magic part. That's the little spindle that goes through the middle. So that's the piston itself. And basically what's happening is when you push it down, the fluid is actually flowing through a valve, which gives it that nice sort of hydraulic feel. So you can adjust the tension on the back here between hard and soft and so forth. So what we'll do now is we'll get it installed and then we'll see if it makes a difference. So the first thing that we need to do is remove our vibration motor so we can install the new bracket, which will move it out of the way of the damper kit. So loosen it off. It's a 10mm socket here that we're using. Just back the bolt off. Remove it very gently. Again, being very careful like we were with the performance kit in the previous video not to damage the wiring here. It is very easy to accidentally slip and tear the wires out of the back of the motor. So just take your time, be very careful with it here. So we use a little jeweler's screwdriver to release the little bracket. You kind of just pop it off over the back of the motor there and then it slides off out of the way. Again, be very careful not to accidentally yank it or slip and tear those wires out. So you can see here the subtle difference between the factory bracket and the one that comes with the new kit with a slightly different angle. So now we want to flip our pedal assembly over, and what we need to do is just adjust the wiring slightly to give us a little bit more slack on the vibration motor. So release it from the little retaining clip there and just slide it up and back through the assembly to give yourself about an extra centimeter of wiring there. It doesn't put any strain on the wire and just make sure that you've got enough space to work with. So now we can install the new bracket. So simply the reverse of before, push it into position, again being very careful. Just make sure that you align it so that the wiring is in a sensible position where it's not going to be pinched by the bracket. And now we reinstall the bolt, reinstall the nut from the back side and tighten it up again. So the next step now is to install the mounting bracket. So this is really simple. It's just 3 bolts. Make sure you use the longer ones that come with the kit and make sure you also use a washer as well. So don't over tighten these because it is an aluminium thread, but you do need to put a fair bit of torque on them just to make sure that they don't work their way loose over time. So now what I found is I needed to rotate the bolt that sits behind the pin just slightly enough to make space for the pin to fit through. What I found was that if the bolt wasn't in exactly the right position, it would actually block the little pin from sitting in the right position and I couldn't tighten it up. So you can see here the pin that slides through the mechanism's got a little cutaway in it. That needs to line up perfectly so that you can get the screws in the side. So if you're having trouble and it's cross-threading, you might just need to adjust that bolt a little bit to make it fit. So once everything's lined up correctly, these screws should go in very easily without any force required whatsoever. So just tighten those up. Make sure you've got them both installed loosely before you start tightening one side up, or you might end up with a misalignment and stripping threads. But again, just use common sense here. Tighten them down once you're done. Don't need to over tighten these ones, just a sensible amount of torque on them once again. So next we push the damper up and into the mounting bracket. Now you can see here that the amount of movement that is on the pedal isn't going to be restricted by the damper in its current adjustment position, but you might find that you need to wind the damper through a little bit just to adjust it if you've got a different position for your pedal to what I have. So once you've done that, install the little retainers as shown here, one in each side, and then secure the damper in place with the little screws provided. And that's it. So now all we need to do is just adjust it to the feeling that we prefer. You've got an adjustment here from 0 to 8, depending on how stiff you want it to feel. So have a play around with it, see what feels best for you, and you're good to go. Okay guys, so that is the V3 damper kit for the V3 pedals from Fanatec. Now, would I spend the money again over the top of the brake performance kit? Probably not. Like, I mean, it definitely does improve the pedal feel a little bit. It does give it that kind of hydraulic feel that's missing with just the damper kit, but the difference is quite subtle. And I mean, look, if money is not an object for you and you just want to have the best possible feeling rig, then yeah, look, I mean, spend the money. It's not that expensive, I suppose. But if you're looking to maximize the bang for buck, I guess, then probably wouldn't bother with this product. I think definitely, as I mentioned in the last video, the brake performance kit is a no-brainer. It absolutely does improve your lap times, the consistency, and the overall feel and enjoyment of the product. Whereas the damper kit is probably a little bit more questionable. But that said, you know, look, it is relatively cheap. It's only $100 or so. So if you want to have the best possible feeling rig, then by all means, jump in and buy it. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm not sponsored by Fanatec or anything like that. This is not a paid advertised video or anything like that. I'm just a guy that likes to buy products, likes to test them out, and likes to share that experience with you. So hopefully you guys have found this interesting and useful. As always, if you have, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well so you don't miss the next video, and of course the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.